Hi, everyone. Welcome. Carmen Denisco here on the Launchpad. What's happening? What's going on? Hopefully you are following along with our secret sequence to inventing. We're going back from our sixth season all the way to what we covered in our first season. We've been getting a lot of requests on the actual steps that we use here to bring hundreds of products to market. Sometimes the products don't go to market. Sometimes we do just the prototype. Sometimes we do just the planning stages, but the majority of the products are looking to go to big box stores, home shopping, QVC, maybe even Kickstarter, retail, Amazon. Amazon's a big one now. So a lot of times we can take the chance. We do a short run, which we are known for here at Earmark Sourcing. We are known to do short run products so that people can test the market. We're talking about 1,000, 2,000, maybe 5,000, depending on what the product is. But please, please take your product through these steps. Don't spend huge amounts of money. Don't fill up your garage unless you follow 3 steps. All of these steps that we're going through in the right sequence, then you know you got a hit on your hands. Then you know when to spend the resources, when you know when to jump in, when you know when to spend money. The stuff that we're talking about here, super, super important. And we've been following through the steps that I talked about when I first started this podcast. Or one of the reasons I started this podcast was this particular sequence. We were getting many, many questions on, hey, I have this great idea. What do I do next? A lot of people, a lot of our clients, a lot of people that we knew, our friends, family, relatives, have great ideas, and they go and they talk to their neighbor or they talk to their friend. Maybe they talk to their professor. Maybe they talk to their patent attorney, business guys, who's ever. And each of those people are great people, and they are giving them their advice of what they think they should do next. But the problem is that they never invented a product and took it all the way through all the steps. So that's why we started doing the podcast, because we started getting the same questions over and over again. I said, hey, listen, how can we reach the masses? How can we let people know there is a sequence to doing this? And we put the sequence together through several years. We've been updating it, changing it, making sure that it is correct in the sequence. So if you are just tuning in, we are on show number 8, and we're going to cover 2 more steps in the sequence. If you are just tuning in, you want to go back and listen to show 1 all the way through for the 6th season, go right ahead. Just go ahead and subscribe also, so that you will know when the new shows come on board. I'm going to release these very quickly, either first day or maybe every 2 days, just to get through them, because there is a number of steps. Some of them go quickly, and some of the steps could take months to complete. So I don't want you to think, oh my God, I gotta finish this step before the next show comes up. Don't do that. These shows are going to be alive. These are living shows. They're going to be here forever. Just go ahead and subscribe, and you can listen to them at the time that you need them after you completing the steps. You can jump ahead, see what's in store for you, but please don't just do the steps that you like, that you know, that you think you can complete, because you will be out of sequence. And that's what happens. We all do that. We get so excited that we'll complete a step and be like, okay, what's next? Oh no, I don't want to do that. I can't do that. But let me go to step 17, but you're on step 4. You don't go to step 17 because you just missed and skipped so many things that are in line, that are here to not only protect you, protect your idea, but keep it moving forward so you don't get burnt out, so the project stays alive. And that's one of the biggest things that we find if we go out of sequence, is that it could burn us out. It could really stress us out. It could make us do extra work, extra funds, extra friends. We're going off our friends. Hey, can you help me with this? Can you do that? There's a lot of things that an invention does. It for some reason, an invention is like a sponge. It just absorbs everything we got. It's just what we want to do. We've got to get it done. And we're pulling people in. We're asking for favors. We're calling people. Can you invest? Can you do this? Hey, I've been having this idea. So if we stick with this sequence, we will use the resources at the right time. So let's jump. These explanations of the steps go fairly quickly. You can even, if you want to get a copy of my book where I go through these steps for free. I will give it to you for free. Go on to earmarksourcing.com www.thesequence.com, and you can download a PDF version of my book, which goes step by step through the sequence also. So that's one of the cool parts about it. So let's jump right in. We've already covered the last series. We covered what we talked about a looks like prototype or a works like prototype. We're going back and forth, and because we're designing both at the same time, but we're not jumping in and going all out. But this next step, if we went to step 13 and step 14, and we think that we are okay with our looks like prototype and our works like prototype, both of them are pretty close to what we want. I've been testing them. I've been showing them to people. The design is good. Now we're going to step in, and we are going to try to create a works like, looks like prototype. Now, this is one of your first versions. This will be looking like what you want, and it'll work fairly well of what you want your product or invention to accomplish. So really think about stepping through this, because take the best parts of both of what you've done. And this is when I say it could take months. This could be a month for the looks like prototype or the works like prototype. And it could be another month or 2 or 3 for the works like prototype, looks like prototype, whichever one you were doing. I know it sounds crazy. I'm probably confusing. I'm confusing myself because I don't know which one I'm talking about. But if you chose to do whichever one first, you got to make sure that it's right. It's working, whichever you chose, looks like or works like. Either one, just make sure you're there. Don't rush it. This is where it could get monotonous, and you try to say, my God, it's good enough. And if it is good enough, that's fine. But think about your first version of product. You want to get it out there. And a lot of experts, much smarter than I, say that if you're not embarrassed by your first version, then you spent way too much time and took too long to get your product to market. Think about iPhone. I mention it all the time. Apple 11, they're coming out with the iPhone 12 soon. This is 2020 in September of 2020. So iPhone 12 is going to be coming out soon. Their first iPhone, I think I owned one, and all it did was make phone calls. It did a few things. So think about just getting that first version out there. Then again, looks like prototype. Probably, depending on your product, the most important component could be looks, or it could be functionality, the work. So think about your product and think about what is the most important thing that you should really spend the time, funds, resources on. And when you think that it's there, or it's fairly close, go ahead to start to move forward. I can tell you this, a prototype does not have to be 100%. That's why they call it a prototype. Please, 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 when you hook up with someone who is going to help you with that next steps, or when you go to manufacturer, or when you go to really mass produce this product, there are going to be some changes in it. Now, if you're working with the right manufacturing team, the right people, like here with at Earmark, we will take that product. Most products, even when you think they're 100%, they have to be changed for mass manufacturing. Think about this. You hire an architect to design a house for you, and you tell the architect all the cool stuff you want, all the bells and whistles, you want it to do this, you want all these cool things, and the architect draws it. Really cool. And you look at it, you go back and forth several times. Of course, it's expensive with an architect, but you go back and forth several times and you say, that's it. My God, this is awesome. That is my dream house. You go to a builder with these plans and you say, here's my dream house. I have a property over there on a hill. I want to overlook the ocean. I want this window to face east. I don't want the sun coming in, whatever. You got all of these plans. And the builder goes, what the heck is this? I can't build this house like this. Look, there's no support beams here. These windows are way too big. They'll crush, the wall will fall down. The weight, we have to do this. There has to be some changes. And that is what happens with most products. 99% of the products, it's okay. This happens. I don't want you to get discouraged. Your designer, your developer, your CAD drawers, even yourself, maybe you're doing it. You develop this product and it's working, it's cool, it's good, it looks great on paper, but when you go to manufacture it, when you go to ship it, to box it, to create packaging for it, there is going to be some changes in order for it to not only be cost effective, there has to be shipping involved. And then what most people don't understand is you don't want to take up a lot of shelf space. So Target sometimes will call us, or a Target buyer will call me and say, hey, listen, I have shelf space at in the hardware section. What do you got? And I say, well, how much shelf space do you have? And they go, I have 6 inches by 8 inches. So the product has to be within 6 inches. He's not just saying, hey, just send me a whatever you have, he's got specific planogram drawings. So if you don't know what a planogram is, I could tell you that every product that's on every shelf in a big box store, Walgreens, even in dollar stores, wherever, it doesn't even have to be a big box store, they have what's called a planogram, where they have a picture of the shelf with the exact dimensions. And then they take the product, they take the dimensions of each product that they want to put on, and they start drawing where those products are. And in the end, they know if they have extra space. They know exactly what goes on those shelves, on the top shelf, middle shelf, bottom shelves. And when you have to stock the shelves, they take that planogram, they hand it to the stock guys or girls, and they know what goes on there. So when a buyer from a big box store or wherever calls or emails me and says, hey, I have 6 inches by 8 inch space, clear, open space on our shelves, what do you got? If your product is small enough, if we designed it good enough, I can call and say, hey, I got a product. But if the product is so big or it hasn't been really thought about and boxed out right, it's going to be very hard to get it on a store shelf. Then you have to think of shipping. So even if you don't want to put it in a big box store, you want to sell it yourself on Amazon. I'm going to sell it myself. I send it to Amazon. Their warehouses are huge. They got plenty of room. But what you're not thinking about is the amount it costs for storage space, and then also boxing up and shipping. There's costs for all of that. So again, I'm getting off on a tangent. I just want to let you know that we've gone through the looks like prototype. We've gone through the works like prototype. It could have been 6 months just for these steps alone. It could be more. Don't rush. It's okay. You're moving forward. You feel good. Everything's cool. Now we're going to put these two together and we're going to design a looks like, works like prototype. If we can, if we need to. These steps are designed for you to know when or if you need them. Now, if you're going to be doing some licensing, you may not have to do this. If, again, we talked about it the other day, we drew a line saying, this is where you'll decide if you're going to license or not. But as you're progressing and you're starting to see that, wow, my idea, it's going to cost a lot of cash. It's going to take a lot of time. I'm going to have a crew of like 50 people helping me build this. Maybe it's not expensive to make, but you need like 20 people to make it. Maybe it can only be made in the US. Maybe it has to be made in Canada because it's oak wood from white birch or whatever. I don't know. But, these are the things that we're deciding as we progress. And it gives you the point. Our sequence gives you the ability to bail or pivot at any point, because in reality, we haven't really spent that much money when you really think about it. You might have spent some time. There's no doubt about it, which time is resources. Time is money, as they say. So the works like prototype. Now that you've built a works like, a looks like, putting those together should be fairly, and I don't want to use the word simple, should fairly knowledgeable. You should know that, okay, I built both. I should be able to get them together. If you need electronics, if you need special boards for electronics, you need all that stuff made. You may not want to make a looks like, works like prototype. If you're going to do that, please go to a professional. Give me a call. I'll get you a quote for free, whatever you do, because if these boards are specific or specially made boards, they're going to get expensive if you go to somebody who you don't know. If you aren't sure what you need, don't use those words when you go there. Hey, I need this to be electronics. I'm not sure what I need in here, though. Don't do that. Not saying that people aren't trustworthy, but we have to go through this and, again, save our resources as much as possible. So think about the works like, looks like prototype. Do you really need it to move forward with your idea? If the answer is no, because you're going to do mass manufacturing anyway, that's awesome. If you need to have that to prove your product is going to work, to prove that someone might want to buy it. Maybe you got an investor and says, I got to see it work. I got to see what it's going to look like. Then you have that goal in mind. So the works like, looks like prototype. If it is important for you, let's move forward with that. And that is kind of the next step in our sequence. If you can skip it for some reason, think about it and go ahead, because you do have the looks like and you do have the works like. And if you can utilize those two just to show and tell, that might be pretty cool. So after developing those two, now we're going to put what I call a preliminary manufacturing tech pack. Now, the reason I put it in this particular spot is because I have designed the looks like and the works like and things in that sense. So it gives it right in the spot where now I know. And that's why I said preliminary. There's nothing is set in stone in this that we're inventing here, folks. So we're going to put in your notebook or wherever you are storing your information, we're going to start jotting down a tech pack. Now, a tech pack contains everything needed for someone to know how your product is made, what it's made of, what it does, why it does it, and if there's any specific secretive type thing that I wouldn't know if I looked at your product and I said, oh, it's made of ABS plastic, it spins around, it does this. But if there's something secretive in there that if I took your tech pack and I needed to make it, I need to know those things. And this is all will all be spelled out in a patent down the road if you end up getting a patent. So that's one of the things that you really, and I'm gonna hear from some of my patent attorney friends. That's one of the reasons you really want to keep your product in patent pending state as long as possible. Everyone loves getting their patent and they put it on their wall, but what they're doing is they're telling everyone their secret sauce. So if your product has any kind of things that you really don't want people to know about, that when you close up that cover, that case, and they don't know what's in there, that's cool. Then, don't worry too much about getting your patent and hanging it on the wall, because as soon as you do that, it's public knowledge. So anyway, I could talk about that forever. So your tech pack, try to put down every step, everything that's in there, how it's made, what type of equipment maybe that you made it with, the drill bit size, if you're drilling things, the speed of the drill. I'm talking down to the minute detail should be stepped through in this process. Think of IKEA plans to put together a table or a chair or whatever. They're pretty good step by step. So think about putting that tech pack together with the materials that you would want. Maybe your prototype, you didn't have special acrylic material, so you used ABS or clear plastic to make your prototypes, but you really want specific materials when you're going to do a manufacturing plant. So put those materials down. Maybe it's got to be FDA approved. Maybe it's got to be food. You've got to be on a food touch list from FDA. Whatever you're doing, put it all down there. Your tech pack, your preliminary tech pack is very important because it is going to change as you progress and as you test more things. And maybe it's going to change the material because you're going to say, now this is what we're starting to work on. This is the product. This is the materials. And you're going to start talking to some people that are going to help with manufacturing, maybe help price it out, help quote it out. And we're going to look at those materials and we're going to say, you know what, this particular material, if you want it to be clear, you don't want to really use this material because it could give you a rainbow effect in sunlight. And if you don't want it to see that, you may have to use a Triton clear plastic or whatever those reasons are. We can look at those, look at your thoughts. You'll say why you have those thoughts or whomever's helping you. And then we could say, yeah, it looks good. I mean, those materials should work. Let's start testing them. Or I'm not sure too much about that material. It might be a little expensive for this particular product. Let's try to use an alloy instead of an aluminum, which is almost the same thing. Maybe we use a tin. If you're making some jewelry, you don't have to use aluminum or a steel alloy. You can use a tin to seal. There's a lot of cool stuff that we can do when we see the preliminary tech pack. So that tech pack, if you have to look it up or if you want some examples of a tech pack, please send me an email. Let me know that, hey, I'm looking for a tech pack. I'm putting mine together. Can you send me one? Again, I explain it in more detail in the book that I will give you for free if you go to earmarksourcing.com, or you can go to carminedanisco.com, and I will send you the PDF version of my book for free, and it kind of steps through just what we're talking about. It just gives it more detail, so it might really help. So very cool, guys. I am glad I was able to help you with these 2 more steps of our secret sequence to inventing. Please check out the other shows, subscribe to our show, and thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you next time on the Launchpad. You all take care.